Hello lawn mowing people. What I'm going to talk about today is why getting paid is as important as mowing the lawn. Now when you mow the lawn, there's two parts to the job. There's mowing the lawn and then there's getting paid. And you can't leave the second part of it to the whims of the customer, because the thing is that if you let them decide when they're going to pay you, some of them will pay you on time, some of them will pay you the day before you're due to cut the lawn again, and some of them won't pay you at all. So you need to be hard and fast with your rules about payment, and you need to let them know from the start. Now, it's a given that all businesses need to extend credit, but how much credit is too much? Now, my rule of thumb is that you should never be owed any more than a week's worth of income. So if your business is turning over a couple of thousand a week, then your total amount of debts shouldn't be any more than that. And if it starts going over that figure, then it's time to go out there and do what I call shaking trees, which is just ringing around and making sure that all those late payers start paying their money. Now, another thing that you should do is you should actually know exactly how much your customers owe you, because that's a really, really important figure. So I have a simple system that I use to get paid on time, to invoice less and to tax more. So if I'm working with a customer, what I'll do when I go around and do the quote and they ask about payment, I say to them, what we do is we send you a text that night. The text has our bank account details, payments due within 24 hours. And we give them 3 days to pay. If they haven't paid in those 3 days, we send them a reminder text that says, hey, did you miss the payment? It's due now. And if they don't make that payment, then we send them another text 3 days later. We tend to find that if we do that right from the very, very start, it lets our customers know that we turn up, we do the job, but we like to be paid on time. And that's a good way to run your business. And you may say to yourself, well, what about my customers? Won't they get a bit annoyed if I go texting them every 3 days because they owe money? Well, the fact is that 90% of our customers pay us within 24 hours of receiving that text. So we're not texting all of the customers 3 days after we've done the job and saying, where's our money? We're only texting a few of them. And we find that if we have to text somebody 2-3 times, then by the time they get annoyed with us and cancel, we've already been annoyed with them for the longest time, because we don't like getting paid late. So it's in our mutual interest to part ways. And that's the way that we work with residential houses. Now, the way we work with bigger customers, like the big commercial customers, is we actually invoice them once a month, and that invoice is due within 7 days. I know normally the terms is you send the invoice by the 10th of the month and they pay you by the 20th, but we don't do anything like that. We just have those simple 7-day invoices that go out at the beginning of the month, and that invoice is due within 7 days. And if we have a note there that says, hey, if this doesn't work for you, let us know and we'll work something out. And if they get back to us and say, hey, this is the way it works for us, then that's fine, as long as they pay when they say they're going to pay. That's all we need to know. So we're happy to modify this if a commercial customer gets back to us and tells us. Now, I suppose the other thing you're wondering about is, what do we do with rental properties and things like that? Well, if a domestic customer asks us for an invoice, for starters, we ask whether they really need the invoice, because we want to know if they need a GST invoice. And if they don't need a GST invoice, that's when we tell them about the texting. And if they still want an invoice, or if they want a GST invoice, what we do is we say, hey, look, we'll let you know via text. You can pay there and then. And what we'll do is, whenever you need an invoice, we'll generate your statement, and that'll have all of your invoices on it. And that works really, really well for them. Yeah, so if you do this from day one, then you'll find that your business will run a lot more smoothly. Well, that worked for us anyway. And at the end of the day, I figure that we turn up on time, we do a great job, and we expect prompt payment. And that sounds like a fair exchange to me. And that's all I've got to say today. So get out there, mow lawns, have fun, and happy lawn mowing, people.